All right, I'd like to call the July 11th meeting to order and take roll call. Victoria Rizzo, yes. Woodrow Terrell,
Yes.
Shelby Stephenson,
Here.
Cheryl Allen,
Here.
Twyla Harrington,
Here.
Mary Howell,
Here.
Shirley Winters,
Here.
Robbie Cantrell,
Here.
and Captain Asbo.
Here.
All right, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have one new member, Robbie Cantrell, so I'd like to welcome you to our committee. You're on Parks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Parks and then alternate for TCAB as well as the planning commission.
That sounds really boring,
Last night's planning commission was very, very interesting. If anybody
Was
was
it?
watching or tuning in, it was, yes.
Oh,
But,
maybe I'll watch it, it's on rerun.
Yeah, there you go, replay.
So now do we ask them 20 questions?
Let's start with
Oh,
Carol, we'll
okay,
just
okay.
introduce
All right.
ourselves a
I got
little
it.
bit.
All right, I'm
Robbie.
Carol Allen. Robbie, you know me from other
Yeah.
committees, so.
I'm Shelby Stephenson, and I'm also on the Citizen Advisory Committee, and well, I've lived in Troutdale over 30 years.
I'm Woodrow Terrell, and I'm on Citizens Advisory Committee, but obviously I missed that one last week, I was sleeping. I guess I'm also on Parks now too, right?
Yes.
I'm on
Yeah.
Parks,
Oh.
so I'm excited about that. I'm a Boy Scout, and I do a lot of Boy Scout things. I live in a trailer down the river, and a beautiful wife and 5 lovely children, all above average.
You forgot your friend?
I have a grandbaby too. And it's so sad because everybody says she looks just like me, and I'm like, that's not a flattering thing to say to a beautiful little girl like that because I have a potato head. So, and we have the same hairstyle too a lot of times.
And I'm Victoria Rizzo, and I'm on Parks and View. And I've lived here for 42 years.
I'm Robbie. I've lived in Troutdale for 4 years now, almost 5. Over by the post office, and as I said before, I'm on Parks and then the alternate for TCAB and Planning Commission. I actually work from home, so I'm a remote worker, and my job title is a Senior Customer Success Manager, and I work for a software company, like I said, from home. So I get to enjoy Troutdale 24/7, which is why I love to be on Parks too, because I'm always in them. So yeah, happy to be here.
Great. My name is Twyla, and I have lived here in Troutdale, I think now for about 18 years. Raised both my boys here. I'm a nurse by trade, but I right now am a manager doing emergency management and education and all those other things. So I love being able to get involved in the evening in the community and connect with what's happening at home and around us. So really enjoyed this committee.
Sweet.
I'm Mary Howell, and I've lived here, well, for the majority of my life. So, and I've been on this committee, this is my second term, I guess you could say I just started, and welcome.
And I'm Sherry Winters. I'm on Parks with you. And I've lived here for 31 plus years, and I was your teacher in middle school. Oh my goodness.
That seems like a sign of success.
I know,
If
that's
it's
Sherry
any-
for the deputy.
If it's any consolation, I live over there with my wife, and she is a teacher at the school that she went to elementary school with, or at, and all of her coworkers were her teachers, so.
Oh,
We're all in this together.
Awesome.
That's good.
And I'm Captain Doug Asbo, I'm the Chief of Police for the City of Troutdale. I've been with the Sheriff's Office since 2017. Prior to that, I spent 17 years working for the Fairview Police Department. I grew up in East Multnomah County, so my whole life has been either in Gresham or Fairview, so this is kind of my home as well.
Perfect. I did forget to add that I was also on the Fairview Community Engagement Committee as well, so, yeah.
Okay, next is elections for chair, vice chair, and our town center advisory board rep. I'm the chair, Linda is the vice chair, and Carol's our rep for advisory board.
Okay.
So let's open by taking nominations for chair.
I'd like to nominate Shelby.
I
For
second
chair?
that, Carol.
I nominate Woodrow Terrell.
I'll second. This is Rob.
I'm nominating myself.
I will second that.
Okay. So we need to vote. And the first one was Shelby.
So are we raising our hand for this, or how are we doing
No,
this?
we're doing roll call.
Oh,
No,
how does it work when you're voting?
hmm?
To explain it, how you I'm voting?
Can we start, I definitely need a primer, because I think in CAC, we had an election that kind of got
Yeah.
away. I
And
didn't
last time we
know how it
didn't
worked.
realize we only get one vote for each position at the CAC earlier this week, so.
So how does the votes work?
First we vote for one, and
Okay,
then we
so,
vote for the next one.
all right, so I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. So let's say we're gonna vote for Shelby, right?
Yeah.
And so then we'll go around the table.
Roll
And
call.
okay, but let's say that we got a aye and an aye and an aye, and then 5 nays. Can those ayes vote aye for the next person
No.
on the list?
No,
No,
No.
okay. All right,
That's what we.
important safety tip.
Yes.
Okay.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
so you can only vote for one
Person.
person,
So if you
for
voted
per
one-
position.
You get one eye.
You get one eye.
No.
All right, so then we'll go Shelby, right? We run through the roster, and then we'll go Woodrow, run through the roster, and then we'll go Victoria, run through the roster. And someone's gonna keep track of all the ayes,
Mm-hmm.
because you only get one eye.
That's correct.
Okay, Mary nominated Shelby and
I second it.
Carol second. Woodrow. All right. So, first we'll do Shelby, sorry, I have to be secretary too here.
I know.
Are we gonna get a person that's going to be taking notes during our meetings besides the chair that's been doing it all this time?
I hope so.
It may affect people wanting to be the chair.
Because this is really hard.
Yeah,
It's hard to do both.
no, I'm hopeful that either Teresa will be in a position where she's able to return, or they'll at least temporarily fill that position. I know that's being worked on what their next step for that is, but I don't know where they're at with it, because it's an HR decision.
Okay, so I guess the question I have is, like, for future meetings till we get a person, can we as a committee nominate somebody to just do the note-taking so it's not the chair the whole time that's doing it? Because that's so hard to do. I mean, I watch,
Anybody,
Can we
in-
finish with the voting first? We're on a motion and we're voting, then we'll discuss that later. I was just apologizing, it was taken, because I had to write everything.
well, that's why I brought up that question.
Well, I know, but we're in the middle of a motion. All right. Victoria, no? Woodrow,
No.
Shelby,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Twyla,
No.
Mary,
Yes.
Cheryl Lee,
Yes.
Robbie.
Yes.
Okay. So we don't have to vote on the other two because you were not the chairman. So I am turning everything up to you.
Okay.
And I am gonna go and watch my son play baseball, my grandson play baseball. Okay, I came last meeting right out of the hospital. I'm missing my grandson's state games because I cared about this committee. So, just to let you know. So, I'll just briefly go over, I had the meeting with Ray. Ray is not up on the survey at all. He says we need a professional organization to do it. He says we need a goal of why we want to do it.
I thought we had one on the paper. This is Sherry. I thought we had one on the paper that was initially submitted, the goal.
And you need more of a goal that isn't spread out through so many questions. Something, and then something that you can take action on. And he also said to get a professional company, it'd be about $5,000 to $10,000. And you're not going to get accurate results any way you do it. Even if you think that we're going to go to every house or pass it out, he says we won't get accurate results. Okay? He used the example of Facebook. He said anybody could go on Facebook and fill it out and they wouldn't have to be from here. So I am just passing on what Ray said. But if you want to take it to city council, I emailed you all the date you have for it. And you can go to city council and see if they want to do it your way. But Ray said right now staff would not approve that.
And it looks like okay, good, we have that on the agenda to talk about a little bit later.
Okay.
Okay.
So I just wanted to fill you in before I leave about the meeting.
Did you want to be part of the next two votes?
We're not voting, it's done.
We're
No, we
voting
have
for
to
vice chair
and TCAB.
and TCAB.
Oh,
And Victoria, do you take the same opinion as what Ray takes for the survey?
it doesn't matter right now.
Oh, well,
Mhm.
I cared what you thought.
All right, so for vice chair, I nominate Woodrow.
I second that.
This is Sherry. I nominate Carol.
I second
Who seconded Woodrow?
Twyla.
Okay. And
Sherry for Carol.
second was Mary? Shelby. All right. So first we'll vote on Woodrow. All right, I vote yes.
Woodrow votes yes too.
Woodrow votes yes. Shelby,
I'm gonna vote no.
Cheryl,
No.
Twyla,
Yes.
Mary,
No.
Cheryl Lee,
No.
Yes.
Okay. So since we didn't vote on Carol yet, we're gonna vote even though it's already decided. Okay,
Hold on, so was there a majority or no?
no,
No, okay.
okay.
Who's the tiebreaker?
I know.
Yeah, is there an odd number, or how's that work?
We had
Rock, paper, scissors?
1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
So we got 8?
Oh, wait a minute, you're right, 8, okay, so now we'll vote on Carol and then we'll vote again at the end. Okay, but you can't change your vote.
Yeah, so it's 4 and 4.
Uh,
Yeah, it's gonna be the same result.
Okay, so Carol, I'll just keep it like that, okay.
Can Sherry make a motion that they rock, paper, scissors?
What is the appropriate way to handle that?
We have to vote again until we get somebody.
Is
Okay,
that really it?
I thought you said that you can't change your vote.
Yeah, we can't. How's that work?
Should we look
How
that
does
up?
we can't change the vote when it's the
When it's a
first two
formal
votes.
vote, okay.
All right,
That's what I'm good with, me.
we'll vote for Woodrow again. I don't know what we're gonna do if we have a tie again. Woodrow. Yes, from Victoria Woodrow.
Yes, from Woodrow.
Shelby.
No.
Carol.
No.
Twyla.
Yes.
Mary.
No.
Cheryl Lee.
No.
Robbie.
No.
All right. No, that's gonna be a stalemate.
No, that wasn't. Robbie changed his vote.
That, I did change my vote to make it not a stalemate.
You voted for Woodrow the first time?
I did.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you hadn't. Okay. More fun. Okay. So Carol is vice chair. Just a minute, I have to get all this paper stuff done. Who seconded?
Twyla. No, down here. Twyla.
No.
I know, that's why I brought up this.
Did I second you?
Thank you.
Yes, you did.
All right. And vice chair,
You got that right?
all right. Next, for
TCAB.
TCAP,
When's
I,
TCAB meet?
Yep,
Um,
meets in
they meet at different times.
The next one is next week.
Right,
yeah, it's
so,
on Thursday.
next week.
yeah. So I nominate Carol, she does a good job at TCAP.
I second that.
Okay. Roll call. Okay, Chair, I vote yes. Woodrow.
Yes.
Shelby.
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
Twyla.
Yes.
Mary.
Yes.
Cheryl Lee.
Yes.
Robbie.
Yes.
Okay, that one was easy. Unanimous. All right.
You'll have to let us know, how the game is.
Okay, then the other things before I leave. On the fire which you have in your packet, you can discuss. Ray said, whatever you think. Right now, the city pays for everything. Okay?
The inspections, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, on the inspections. And it comes out of the general fund. Every other city, there's fees. So we wanted to have our own fees,
Or the same fees?
well, the Gresham fees. Now, I did mention in the meeting with Ray that when we first discussed it, the main thing you didn't like was that the nonprofits were getting charged. And he said we can go ahead and say that.
Oh, we can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whichever fees you don't like, just say, cross them off and say, if all the rest are okay, that's fine. If you just wish to say nonprofits not get charged, that's fine too. And then the only other thing I had, was, if you guys want to do a night out, safety night out, like I said, we can't do it August 6th because Multnomah County is really busy in Gresham and Maywood Park already. We can do it any night we want, and it's just a safety.
And we can do it August 6th. We just don't have the resources from Multnomah
Right,
County present.
right.
But we would have all the national exposure, all the media exposure for that night, all the local media exposure. Everybody else will be doing it.
So, Oregon City has one August 6th at the end of the Oregon Trail, 5 to 8. This is so if anybody wants to go, so we talked about it, so we can do it next year. Fairview, August 6th, but they're mainly block parties.
Fairview's does theirs a little bit differently now. They used to do a formalized, and there's actually a lot of cities that are now getting away from the formalized and the rule-based, because there's a number of policies and rules you have to follow to be a national night out and to fit into that category. So a lot of cities have gotten away from that. But Fairview, instead, they do multiple block parties throughout the city. So every city, or every neighborhood in the city could choose to have a block parties type event if they wanted to. And so it's not one big citywide event, although it's all occurring at the same time, but it's not one citywide event.
So does that mean that the neighborhood associations or groups of people will get organized? You tell them about that, and then they have to organize themselves?
Yeah, they register, and then if they register, the city can close off their street and they can have a block party on their street, things like that. So you can see different ones if you go to different, Wood Village doesn't have theirs on August 6th, they're having it Friday, July 19th at the Wood Village Baptist Church from 5 to 8. Maywood Park is on August 6th, 6 to 8 at Maywood Place. Portland has block parties from August 1st through the 14th. Happy Valley has one at Happy Valley Park, 6:30 to dark. And Gresham, more information on their main park activities is coming, but right now they're focusing on the block parties. So if you guys want to do that,
What you're talking about will be for next year.
yeah, but I'm giving you these dates, so if anybody, remember I said at the beginning, if anybody wanted to go to these, then you can go check them out. And everything's online if you didn't get it written down. So,
Can I ask you, I'm sorry, Mary, I just wanted to ask a question about the fee schedule. Are we able to change the amount of the fees?
you can suggest it, yeah.
Suggest, yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
But and just to make sure I'm clear, the request was that we use the entire fee schedule that they have with everybody else.
No,
Are you sure?
No, because Ray said to me, you can go through it and make your suggestions, okay? And the only one I remembered from the last meeting was the nonprofit.
Okay.
So if you want to say no nonprofits or lower them for the city events, things like that.
Cool. No, I'm vice chair, go sit up with vice chair first.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Are we playing musical chairs?
I'm playing,
Now that
put your butt in the right seat.
Hold on a minute, everybody.
Okay, if we make any motions,
So
and
I'm
we're
looking
gonna
at
have
the,
to turn them in. Take the motion,
So,
go first.
Chief, how do you, I mean, I'm on the Oregon City one, but I can't find where it's at. It just says they're having one. Is
No,
there
any motion.
a
Look and
place
see.
that they would?
And then
Minutes of
what's
the
the, and
meeting.
what's the?
Let me take a look and
Or do you
see.
call people in?
Just go around, because I have to turn that out paper in. So-
Okay, just go around the tables. Okay, well, thank you for your confidence in me. I'm pretty new at this, so I'll do my best. But thank you, Victoria, for the time that you've led us. I appreciate that. And good luck to your grandson on his baseball team. And thank you, Woodrow, for being vice chair, and I welcome Carol. So thank you, guys. Interesting, but, okay, so now I will open public comment on non-agenda items. There is nobody in the room, so I'll turn to anybody on Zoom. If you have any comments, just unmute, state your name. Okay, seeing that nobody's done that, I guess we're closed public comment. The next thing on our agenda is approval of the June 6, 2024 meeting minutes. Does anybody have any corrections or anything on that? They were in your packet. From you? Anybody have any comments?
This is Twyla. Would like to make a motion to approve the June 6, 2024 minutes as they are.
This is Robbie, I second.
Okay.
Quick question, Chief, on number 5, the review of the monthly reports, because we did 2 months, remember we saw that there were some discrepancies between the totals in previous months?
Okay,
Do we find out why that was?
do you wanna wait till my
Well, we-
report, or do you wanna have a
Sounds good.
discussion about it?
No worries.
Okay, so all those in, is there any more discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes, minutes have been approved. Next item on the agenda, number 7, review of monthly law enforcement reports from June. So Captain Anslow.
Thank you. So this is for the period of June 1st to June 30th of 2024. And during that time period, there was 724 calls for service. That is down from the previous 30-day period and slightly lower than the previous year's average for this time of year. Of those calls, 348 of those calls were dispatched, and 376 of those calls were self-initiated. Of the calls for service that were dispatched, 70 of those were priority 1 or 2, or emergency calls for service, and 274 of them were non-emergency, or priority 3 through 7 calls for service. Looking at the reported traffic accidents between that period of time, as always, I look for places where there seems to be hotspots or trends of traffic accidents. And, we all know, and we did that heat map at one point where we talked about, and that's pretty typical that those are the same places. Although I will say I saw, at least for this period of time, it seemed like a a lot of those accidents were heavily based on the, on or around 257. So if you're looking over here, you look at like the 25600 block of Southeast Stark, well, that's 257 in Stark. You know, we have like 25100 block of Southeast Stark. A lot of times those addresses will be based on where a caller called from. So even though it might not show to be exactly at 257 in Stark or on 257, it's quite common that it is actually, that's where the accident is at. So I just noticed that of those, it looked like 9 of those were on that 257 throughway there at some place or another. So just information for you all to have. Of course, we had a number of, and a variety of community meetings that we attended throughout that month period of time. You can see at the locations where those occurred at there. And moving on to the law enforcement activity reporting based on the contract, there was 162 total traffic stops. Of those, 98 warnings were issued, 51 non-criminal citations were issued, 6 arrests were made, 3 where a cite was given in lieu of arrest, and then there was 3 where there was no arrest but a report was written. Moving on to the detective activity, we had 10 new cases that came out of the city of Troutdale that were referred to detectives during June. Of those 10, 5 of them have already been disposed, so they've either, and then we'll show you on there on the left how those were disposed. Inactive, suspended, lack of tangible leads, or not a criminal offense, and one of those was referred to a prosecuting attorney. The remainder of those were not referred for prosecution. Additionally, there were 4 previous Troutdale cases that were also disposed during the month of June. 2 vehicles reported stolen during the month of June. That's slightly up from 1 last month, but significantly about half of the previous year's 30-day average. There were 2 stolen vehicles recovered in Troutdale in the month of June, which is lower than last month. We recovered a lot of vehicles last month, but slightly higher than the 30-day average. In looking through the calls for service log, as always, I look for things that appear to be trends or that are exceptional or unusual, things that we don't normally see occurring in Troutdale in any given month. And generally, the majority of the crime scene log was pretty typical of what we would see. There was one that stood out to me that I that I wanted to mention. I just want to remember which page it was on. Here we are. There was an aircraft-related incident where a plane crashed that did not occur in the city of Troutdale proper, but because that plane is destined for Troutdale Airport, it shows as a Troutdale incident. It actually went down about 3 miles east of Troutdale, and the pilot survived and had just minor injuries, so that was very fortunate. That investigation will be conducted by the FAA. And that was the only thing that stood out exceptional in that. I did want to bring up that, as you may or may not know, the city has contracted with security for Glen Auto Park and Imagination Station. And that's to supplement the times that the deputies are stationed at Glen Auto Park, but also supplement the patrol response to Imagination Station. So that has been super successful so far. I think that they did a really good job of selecting a good legitimate security company. they're working closely with both the community resource deputy and your summer community resource deputy down there. So I honestly anticipate this being hugely successful, so I think that's a good thing. So they will be able to manage some of those things that we might not want law enforcement pulled away from other calls for service for. And they'll free up your summer community resource deputy to be more active throughout the entire city of Troutdale as opposed to just sitting down there, particularly on days when it's not overly crowded or things like that. So I think it will free up a lot of law enforcement time to take on some of the other livability challenges that our community resource deputies deal with throughout the city. And that is all I had for that. You had a question, sir, about, and you'll have to remind me of the circumstances that you were referencing.
So, last meeting was unusual because we got to see the 2 months, right? And when we looked at the calls per current 30-day versus previous 30 days, we could actually see the data for the previous 30 days, and the numbers didn't add up.
Right. So what I found out was, depending on the type of call for service, what happens is when a call comes in to dispatch, it's coded by dispatch in a certain way. Sometimes that call, before the call is cleared, the deputy will either recode that call or change the coding on that call. So that could impact the numbers as we look through, because we're looking at initially how a call was coded by PSEAC. And then by the time the next month's numbers come out, now we know how every call's been coded when it's the final clearances come through. So it can change the numbers based on how the call is cleared versus how it's entered. So for example, you may look at it and on 1 month and see that we had 5 area checks, for example. Well, maybe that's how the call was coded by dispatch based on the information they understood. The deputy gets there and finds out it's something completely different. They recode the call as something else. So then that's going to change future numbers to reflect how the deputy cleared that call versus how the call showed initially.
Okay.
Is that, go ahead. Mary?
This is Mary. I had a question about the security. You said it was for Imagination and Glen Auto?
Yes.
Okay, is that just for the summer?
At this point, yes.
That is, okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sherry.
Okay, Chief, I'm gonna put you through the paces here. I got questions and I forget what things mean, so I apologize. On the very first page, you showed us with the graph and welfare checks were up from the average from last year of 40 up to 57 and up by 10. Is there a time of the year when welfare checks go up because of the circumstance, like outside weather or something like that, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So welfare checks often go up when it's either really hot or really cold, because people call on people being outdoors due to those conditions. They also change during holiday seasons because more people are impacted by some of the struggles that they go through during the holidays and their welfare checks. So there are times when welfare checks go up, but generally I can't assign a lot of rhyme or reason to why somebody might call somebody in and have concerns for somebody's safety.
Okay. Then on that second page you gave, and the thing is, you might have told me some of these things before and my brain might not be remembering, so I apologize. But in the category that says calls for service by call priority, dispatch calls only, and for the current period, it only says 3, but previous shows 75 and the previous year shows 42.9. Can you?
So administrative calls is kind of a catch-all. So basically, anytime a call doesn't fit into one of those other priority numbers, and most frequently, an administrative call, like as an example, if I would put myself on a call right now for this meeting, it would be an administrative call, because there is no, per se specific call type or law enforcement function I'm involved in. So it could be that if somebody is just doing a park check or a door check on something, they may list that as an administrative call. So it's really, it kind of catches everything that doesn't hit those other call priority types. So, and again, that's the dispatch calls, that's not how we are putting it out. So that's how BOIC's deciding to code the calls, not how we decide to code them. So BOIC has decided for whatever reason that something's an administrative call, they're gonna code it as an administrative call. Now, this was just talked about, sometimes those may get changed by the deputy once they arrive and see what type of call it is, but we don't ultimately control how that initial call is coded.
Okay, I didn't know if it had something to do, because then I could see average response time by call, and administrative seems so far up from the other ones. And so I didn't know if not having as many didn't balance it out the same way.
Are you talking, what do you
The
what do you
very
mean so
next,
far?
the next category down, average response time by call priority from dispatched to on scene. And it shows administrative 9 minutes, 4 seconds, where previously it was like 3 minutes.
That's because administrative calls don't have priority, any kind of priority level, because they are not an emergency or a non-emergency call. So we respond, if we were to respond to an administrative call, it would be after we responded to anything that was a priority 1 through 7 or emergency or non-emergency call. So we track the numbers on how, what time, but we have no time limit on how long it takes to respond to an administrative call.
Okay, so could that possibly show different because there's so many less showing as administrative that it can't average it down to a different number? It could just be because there's only 3? Maybe?
I couldn't answer that question.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, then I had a question on, and this is my ignorance maybe to the size of Troutdale or whatever, but on the community policing contacts and meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first meeting shows at 31500 block Southeast Woodard Road. And I think that might be the new middle school for Corbett.
Okay.
Is that in Troutdale?
No, but sometimes if there is a Troutdale nexus to a meeting, it might come back to Troutdale. So in this case, like example, you'll see there's like a Wood Village call.
Yeah.
So if there is some Wood Village nexus, it's just basically based on the information that the deputy or member having that meeting puts into the call when they put in there. If they're gonna put in some nexus to Troutdale, it might fall in under the Troutdale community meetings.
Okay, and then that very last one on June 29th there that also shows on Woodard Road, but it's lower down. And does it have to have the exact address? Because I was thinking that I don't know where 1700 block, if there's a specific
Not
address.
necessarily, like I said, it's gonna be based on how that call's entered. And so
Okay.
if it's entered by block number, and there may be a case where we might be having something where we don't wanna put in a specific address, or maybe the individual that this meeting is with doesn't want a specific address in there, so it may not be exactly at 1700, which is exactly like all our other calls are. They're gonna be based on nearest location or where a caller reported it or something like that. So the accuracy of the address is only as good as the information that we get.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and then, I know you've told me this before, but I have forgotten, but on your detective case activity, it has assigning 344, I'm sorry, the date is 6/3, 6/4, 6/4, 6/5, 6/5, 6/5, 6/5, 6/6, and then it goes all the way to 6/25. Does that mean there's no, like, stuff that requires, like a no new case of detective activity in that point to be assigned? That would mean, okay. And I had just one thing in here, and there's a couple of the spots. It's the same address roughly, it's on McGinnis, and it's on restraining order.
Okay.
And this is just the personal information, is when there's repeated of the same.
Can you tell me the page number and so?
Yeah, I'll try, I think it's a little bit later on in the month. On the 17th of June. And then on the 21st of June.
Okay, the restraining order violation?
Yeah.
Okay. What would you like to know?
I think I just wanna know, just on a personal level, how often does a restraining order violation happen before somebody, I mean, is there anything further that goes on? Is it like
So you
take
wanna know
away-
how we resolve a restraining order violation?
Yeah.
So a restraining order violation is a mandatory arrest, so if there is a suspect still on scene when we arrive, that suspect will be arrested. That case gets referred to the district attorney, and the district attorney moves forward with whatever prosecution they feel is necessary based on the violation. And we will continue to make those arrests as long as somebody violates a restraining order. If a suspect's not on scene, then we'll go there and collect the evidence like we would in any other investigation and make attempts to locate and arrest the suspect.
Okay, great, thank you.
Twyla?
Yes, I just had a couple more follow-up questions regarding the security at the two parks. So I was wondering what security company we're contracting with, and are they gonna be wearing body cameras? I know the police force was gonna move, or the sheriff's department was moving towards that. Are they armed, or will they have pepper spray, or what will their,
So the security company is OPS,
okay,
and they are armed security.
okay.
And I don't believe they wear body cameras, and I wanna just say, no, they don't wear body cameras, but I can't say that with 100% confidence.
Okay, great, thank you.
Hi, this is Woodrow. So a couple things stick out under the service log. One was I saw 2 instances, I believe it's the first page and like maybe the second to last page. Elude, not in pursuit. And that seems a little counterintuitive. What would an example be of elude, not in pursuit?
So we have, the sheriff's office has a policy based on what we will and can pursue for, and so there's times where somebody might pursue us and is not in policy, or somebody might attempt to elude us and it's not within pursuit policy, so the deputy's going to follow policy and not pursue that. So it would be an elude that we did not pursue.
So you have the lights and sirens on and they accelerate something or get out of the way and
Sure. Or we make a
you
traffic
choose
stop
not.
and somebody drives away from a traffic stop or
Okay.
something like that, and based on policy, the act of pursuing that vehicle does not fit within our policy or procedures, and the
Understood.
deputy makes a decision not to pursue that vehicle.
Okay. Second question was, is the service log in chronological order
By date,
in time?
it should be, yes. I mean, are you talking about, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm looking at it being in chronological order.
That's what I thought too, but I'm looking at the first page and I'm looking at the DUI near the bottom. And that's occurred 6/3, 237/24, right?
Okay,
The next one is 6/3, 15/25/16. And then if you go to
the
the next,
next call, are you talking?
yeah, the very next call, right? That's the accident hit and run.
Okay,
But then if you go to the next page, the top, that's one of those eludes, not in pursuit. That goes, it's 6/4 at 2:37. My bad. Dates are hard.
you tried to catch us, but you couldn't.
I should wear glasses more.
Would you like mine?
Please, thank you.
Okay, Robbie?
First off, Captain, is that how I address you?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, first off, Captain, for all the work that you and your team do. Like I said, I used to live in Troutdale and or Fairview and in Troutdale. I feel very safe in both
Good,
cities, so
thank you.
thank you very much. So on the topic of the Glen Auto resources, and I think you said that there were the resource officers down there as well.
Uh-huh.
If I saw correctly, I was down there, I go down there all the time. There was, I think, a sheriff officer in a little golf cart, something that was driving up and down the beach. Is that one of the sheriff resource
Was
officers?
it in it wasn't like a four-wheeler, it was more like a.
It was a covered like canopy. It looked like a golf cart with kind of beach
That was probably one of the
tires.
security officers.
One of the security officers? Okay, great. So with that known, I'm curious about their priorities because when we look at the rules and regulations of the parks, like I said, I'm on the parks committee with a couple of other members, and we were talking about dogs as well as alcohol and drug use on the beaches. So when they're out there patrolling and doing their rounds, I'm curious about what their priorities are if they see any of those violations.
So obviously the number one priority, just like ours, is life safety and property safety. So they're gonna report any of those things, and that's gonna take priority over any rules or park violations. But realistically speaking, outside of those things, which they're gonna contact us and we're gonna respond to anyway, their priority is addressing city ordinances. So, like, as you mentioned, dogs in the park, alcohol in the park, all those type of things, but they do have the authority to address and issue citations for city ordinance violations.
Okay.
So those will be there, excluding a major event or life safety issue. Those will be their priorities when working down there. We will still address any Oregon statutory issue, and we will also assist them if they have something that's problematic in addressing a ordinance violation.
Okay, so if they were to be, for instance, patrolling the beach and they see a dog with their owner clearly on the leash, that they're on the beach, would the first thing in the first order of action to be approach them and issue a citation, like you said?
Not necessarily issue a citation. Like, I mean, very rarely, I think, do any, regardless of whether it's security or law enforcement, make citations their first action.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's been pretty clear from not only the sheriff's office, but from the city, that we want to take a progressive step of educating people first, and then trying to gain voluntary compliance, and then taking that step to citation. Because, I mean, neither the sheriff's office or the security team wants to just, every person who visits the park gets a citation, congratulations. So we really want to focus on educating people and gaining voluntary compliance. Citations will be reserved for people who are repeat offenders, who are just choosing not to follow the rules. So my expectation would be that at some point they reach out to that person and have a conversation, make sure they're aware of what the rules are of the park. And I think both the sheriff's office and the city made that pretty clear to the security team, as that was their expectation.
Okay. The whole point of this, and the reason why I'm being specific, is because I do have a story that accompanies these questions.
Okay.
So because you guys aren't down there watching them 24/7, like I said, I'm down there probably every other day. And I have seen some things that do kind of go against what you were saying, and I just want to make you aware of them, because I know that everybody has their days and they're doing their own things and whatever. But if you go down to the very end of the park, there's, down by the houses, and right at the end, there's a whole strip of beach that is much so less populated than where the lifeguard station is. That's typically where I go down. And the reason why—
The far east.
Yep, that's the reason why I'm referring to that golf cart, is because I saw that resource officer, or the security officer in the go-kart down there. And the whole reason why I'm bringing this up is because I wish I would have seen him walk over to a couple of people and educate them about the ordinances and about the rules that all of us on the Parks Committee worked really, really hard for months to put together. And as a member of the Parks Committee, I was really disappointed with what I saw. So I just want to kind of illustrate this for you. I was down there with my wife, and as soon as we came out onto the beach, we looked directly to our left and saw a party with 2 dogs, and then right next to them, another party with a dog or 2. The party with these 2 dogs, off leash, in the water, running around at my wife and I's feet, going to the bathroom up on the grass, all sorts of nonsense. The people down there, they did have their dog on a leash, but overall the thing that shocked me was that I looked to my right, and I see that security officer standing there talking to what seems to be his friends and family who are drinking alcohol right there on the beach. So I'm seeing all of this, and I'm saying to my wife, I think we talked about dogs not being allowed in this park, not being able to be there, and I'm looking at these people sitting there with their dog on their leash, and this is their face. They're terrified that this officer is going to come over to them, and he never does. Go for it.
Can you tell me what date that occurred?
Not last Saturday, probably last Thursday. So we're talking about July, not the 4th of July, possibly a couple of days before the 4th of July.
Was it a weekend day or
It
weekend?
was very likely a weekday. My wife and I do not tend to go down there on the weekends because we just get so busy.
So I think they started on the 1st.
Okay.
The 1st of July. So I'll have a discussion with their captain about that. But I'm gonna give them a little bit of latitude
Sure.
if you're talking about the first day or two they started.
Yeah, so the story is not unfortunately done because I sat there and saw him talk to his family and sit there with him for quite a while while these people were with their dogs. And then I literally heard him go, "Hey, you guys need anything? You need a ride or anything?" And I was like, looking at my wife going, "What the hell am I looking at?" And so he actually piles up his golf cart with his friends and his family and everything, and he drives up. And I look at him and I'm like, I just see that? I am just pretty pissed off right now. Like, this is crazy. And he goes up, and that's what I say. Everybody has their days, and I was gonna cut him some slack. Except those people with all those dogs left. More people with dogs came down right next to us on the beach, completely new people with dogs, and he came back looking right. I literally saw him look right at the dogs, go right back over to his family, and put all their stuff in the cart. And then as they walked up, we were following up, and I walked up to the parking lot, and he's up there BSing with his friends and family, and I'm not going back to the
You
car,
said
so.
you think, yeah, that was prior to the 4th, but probably the 1st or later.
Yeah, I can describe what he looks like. He's a bigger guy, kind of bald, so that's what I got. But overall, just like I said, coming from the perspective of somebody who sat for this conversation and worked really hard to put together those ordinances, it was just overall discipline. That's what I'm saying. I don't expect everybody to have it perfect. Everybody's human. He was hanging out with his family and whatever, but just to see him like actually look at the dogs, acknowledge their presence, them running around, barking, going in the water, and then to go back to his conversations was just pretty disappointing. And my wife was going, "What the heck is going on?" I said, "I don't know. I'm supposed to have the know on what's going on, and I don't know what this guy's doing." So overall, I was gonna bring this up with the Parks Committee, but this is, I think, a much better venue to do so, so.
Yeah, I can certainly report that to them.
Absolutely, and that's, I just wanted to, like I say, you can't be down there watching them 24/7, but I'm down there every other day, 3 times a week, so I see this stuff, I see people with the dogs, and I see the signs too. We put up the handwritten signs, probably Jonah or somebody, or the caretaker went up and put up the handwritten signs. I'm like, how many times are we gonna shame these people before they realize that they're breaking the rules and bringing their dogs in there? And that's what I would expect that education to kick in, to say, hey, you should go somewhere else, go to the dog park, take your dog literally anywhere else that you can go swimming, so.
Yeah, I can certainly report it to them. Obviously, they don't work for and or
Sure.
report to me, so
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll report that through their chain of command.
What?
And hopefully they can
Thank you
address
so
it.
much, appreciate it.
Twyla.
Yes, the dog thing got in a different light. I'm spinning it into a different way. On your water bottle, I see the picture of the new Multnomah County, your water bottle down there.
Oh, yes. All right.
And I was just wondering, because that dog has gotten so much social media attention, do you know, are there any meet and greets with the dog? Will the dog ever be able to come to this committee for
Right,
us
you
to
guys
meet?
want the dog, I'm sure the handler loves to bring the dog,
What?
so.
Yeah,
Can you
it's
come in?
a
So we have a comfort dog, so basically, it's there to provide comfort to people who may be in a traumatic situation or incident. And that's fairly new to our agency. We worked for quite a while to get that into place, and so we would be happy to bring it down here. So we can certainly put that on the agenda, and I can let the handler know, and the handler will, I'm sure, love to come and show
Oh
up.
my gosh, it's been so wonderful just to
Shepherd.
see that out there and to know, because working in the hospitals, you can just, when the animals come in, they are so therapeutic and they can take a situation from here down to here. So I was really excited to see that you guys got
Great.
The dog did come to my classroom, and
it. Awesome.
I mean, the kids it really meant a lot to them.
It's so cool.
I know Tag.
Yes, this is like tag.
bag with refreshments, comfort.
Oh. Okay, well, does anybody have any other questions?
Follow up to Robbie's, what's the appropriate method of, making an incident about, somebody breaking the rules in a park? Is that online or is that 911? What's the?
Definitely not 911, unless it's like the rule they're breaking is like shooting guns or something like that. But, obviously, if you are seeing park rules being broken or whatever, you can make a report online of that. Or you can send an email to me. But usually non-emergency at the very most is
The online, the BOAC, or was it what's the Portland Operations Center, what's that called again?
BOAC.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's through non-emergency. Online reporting is directly through us. So yeah, in any of those other ways, but yeah, please don't use 911. And remember that on average, well, I have to be honest, I haven't checked in a while, but the last time I checked, it was about 60 minutes to get through on emergency. And so we want to use that for definitely things that rate an urgent police response. So we don't want to clog that up with things that don't rate an urgent police response.
Yeah, we had a clog. We had a van parked in front of Costco at 3 o'clock in the morning. And, yeah, we called many times and.
Yeah, and, that's, the challenge with non-emergency is it's very hard to, and I've actually set out things to communities before about what equates a non-emergency call and what equates an emergency call and what equates like notifying through a different method, because there's also 311 and that you can use. And so what happens is everybody thinks that what they're seeing is an emergency. Mm-hmm. And everybody has their own opinion on what level of emergency that response that requires. So that non-emergency line is the one that catches everything that where somebody's probably called 911 and BOEC has gone, this does not rate an emergency, so we're gonna refer you back to this other line. And so that's why we put in a system like online reporting. Mm-hmm. So number one, we could hopefully help to ease some of the use of that line, and for those people who may not have access to file reports otherwise or things like that, but also to make it more convenient for community members so they don't have to wait for long periods of time. So that's a really long answer to your short question.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul, looks like you have a question.
Thank you, Shelby. I guess this is just an observation. In the traffic report, I noticed there seemed to be an unusual number of hit and run reports. I was wondering if some of those were duplications because they were the same date and kind of close in time.
What page?
On the traffic
No,
accident report,
no particular page. They're just spread out throughout the report. Multiple hit and runs.
yeah, it looks like many of them are at different locations and different times, so I would not assume those to be duplicates.
That's a lot.
I will say, didn't you mention this before, that a bunch of times hit and runs could be door dings, people getting mad.
That's absolutely true, so.
And some people reporting the car.
You look at a potentially, like, as an example, well, a perfect example is anytime during holiday shopping, right? Like, everybody is calling in because somebody bumped their car with their door, things like that. Well, those go in as a hit and run if the person actually left. Sometimes it may be that the person leaves and comes back. That's still initially categorized as a hit and run. Again, this is how we're getting the information from BOIC. So even though it may appear that there's a lot of hit and runs, by the time it's coded at the end, that may have been resolved and it may not actually be, and it might just be a non-injury accident. So, yeah, so it appears to me that those are all separate incidents of a hit and run, if that's what you were asking.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you, Chief, for the report.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, so now we will move on to the next agenda item, number 8, the discussion of the safety survey. And I passed out ahead of time. Does everybody have one?
I have that.
Yes, I do.
Yep. Okay, so, I should let the other people on my committee, I guess, present, since I'm the chair. I'm probably not supposed to present now, so I don't know. I will say that I made the changes we talked about, except for I didn't get it on letterhead.
Okay.
That's the other that we talked about last meeting, and that was because I got I hadn't gone into the city yet for the letterhead, and then we got the response from Victoria, so I just stopped and said, okay, well, let's figure out where we're at on that. So we heard what Victoria had to say, and so does Twyla. What do you have to say?
Yes, I've been thinking a lot about this survey, and I feel like as a committee, some of this kind of happened with our Citizens Advisory Committee, right? In that we weren't getting much from the city to follow up on and things like that. So I do feel like us figuring out a way to engage with the community to figure out what's important to them is what we should be doing as a committee. So I would support putting together a presentation and bringing something to council, just to let them know how we're feeling. And even if they don't want to move forward with the survey, maybe they will be more mindful of handing things that might be in our purview to this committee, so that we're better able to have meaningful work to do.
We're on the docket, aren't we, for talking to city council? I thought we were.
I think
I
that
believe
was what
Victoria's
Victoria
emailed
stated
that.
that in the email to us.
August 27th.
Yeah.
I thought that one, oh wait, I'm in the wrong month.
Sherry?
I don't want to offend anybody. I personally do believe that we do need to go forwards with something, and our whole purpose is to engage our community in being more involved in giving us their input. And one of the reasons I wanted to be involved on these committees is to do something to get more people involved. And so in a quasi way, I'm going to offend survey companies, professional survey companies, and the recommendation by staff. I'm offended by that part of it because they've had those opportunities in the past and have not shown it to be very successful. I know for the parks, I remember reviewing, and the amount of input that came back was still at best 2.5% of the population. So 2.5% in any surveys can result in being outliers. We might just have anomalies that we're like focused on or something on in some regards. Now, I know that's not completely the case of the closed information, but I just believe that we have got to do a better job, and we can't just say it's not going to happen. I believe if a professional organization engages me in a survey, I might not fill it out because I don't know where they're going to sell my information. But I believe if the city of Troutdale is the one saying, we want what you have to say, and if we're grassroots enough and we knock on some doors of our, fellow neighbors and we say, hey, let's get, this out there. I believe the survey on the back kind of shows, say where you're from. You could be outside the area if you want to, and then we'll just look at the information and we'll go from there. And as far as a goal, we had a goal written, we're just not leading the goal per se on this, we had the goal separate. So I don't know, I just really believe, I agree with Twyla, I think we need to report that, and I also think that, if council isn't for us doing it, then I wish there was more direct, assignment from them, engagement with them to us on what we're really doing here. So, my opinion.
Mary?
I really echo what you just said. And I'm also a little bit confused because hasn't there been past surveys where the committees just put out surveys without going through a professional company? That would be my question to council. But I just think that we do need to try and get the community engaged, and I don't see, I think, and the example that Victoria put in her, Facebook was suggested to conduct a survey. Problem, how do we know who filled it out? Well, like Sherry just said, we do have where it says outside the map, so they would circle outside the map. But I really like Twyla's idea, let's just get it together and present ourselves to the city council and tell them our concerns about maybe we're feeling a little disconnected and need to be included and tasked with certain things.
This is, Carol, wouldn't the city want to know how the citizens feel? I mean, I didn't grasp everything that Victoria was saying, but it sounded like, it came across to me like they don't care. They're not gonna do it, they're not gonna put the energy in it, so we're not gonna take the time. But I really think, I agree with Twyla that we really need to present it to the city councilors, because I know those city councilors and they care about the citizens. And so I'm confused. And I think not having, I know communication gets directed to the chair, but I think sometimes things get missed, and it would be so nice to hear it from Ray, or it would be so nice to hear it from the mayor. I mean, somebody to come and, so we all can get the same information, because I'm just a little confused.
Sherry?
I just want to clarify for Robbie so he knows. We really talked about this being, and you can see what it looks like, a short survey, gathering some information, not overstepping, not leading, as well as, we didn't want to do it in an expensive way. So we talked about if we could attach within electronic water bills, just a click, hey, have you filled out the survey? Within water bills that go out to the citizens, maybe an outside the envelope on the opening side, just kind of a little banner thing that says, check out the link to the survey or something about the survey, and then inside getting it so that somebody who doesn't get an electronic water bill gets it that way. And then for people who don't get water bills, we're trying to reach out in ways that they could. So next door, we would go to potential retirement homes or things like that with, paper surveys. If it's in the summertime, I'd offer to present at, those things, give us your input, that kind of stuff, so that we could just gather. I think there's probably a few other ways, but we were trying to keep it on the low, not spending too much in the way of any cash. Obviously, need a little to print them out and whatever, but we're just trying to figure out, a lot of people are engaged electronically, and we might be able to just get it to dump the information into something, and then we just get to review it. And they're all followed up with a little comment, so some people will comment, some people won't. And if we could just get feedback that way, then we could analyze it. We could just say, wow, there's a lot of people that are showing concern over, some particular area or whatever, and then, or maybe it's coming from a particular area. Like, oh, they don't feel safe here, but the rest of us feel safe where we're at, or something like that. Anyway, that's kind of the nuts and bolts.
And I was, just to add on for context too, the other reason that we thought this was an important time and kind of the right time to do this is we're also renegotiating our fire contracts and police contracts. And so it is kind of a time that you might want to reach out to the community and see how they're feeling about things currently.
Mary?
Mary, just for clarification also a little bit, this is like a working document, so this was not like our final necessarily, but just so you know. If you have any suggestions after looking at it, would love to hear it, but I think maybe if we're gonna go forward, not that we wouldn't I don't know what council's gonna say or nay.
So does anybody want to? I heard Twyla propose, I guess, do we need to make a motion to do this, to what we do? I'm just,
Is that
what
a
we're saying, is that
What
what?
happened?
I thought she was mentioning, okay, sorry, Woodrow, but she was saying something about going to council with what, and you guys have discussed. I'm trying to summarize and say, but if somebody senses
I
something
think
else
we're already
going on.
on the agenda
Right, so,
for the August 27th to
Yes.
present.
so Twyla, did I hear you correctly saying that you're willing to present?
Oh, I really think it probably should be the wonderful people who put this together. But I think it would be good for all of us to attend to support.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I wouldn't want to, you guys worked very hard on this, and so I would certainly.
Sure.
Being on other committees, I believe it's the chair's responsibility to present the whole. So, and you were also on that working committee.
Yes, I was.
So I think having you plan on presenting and then we all be there to support you, and I think would be probably the better way to do it.
Okay, and
But does she need a motion on that?
I don't know, Ms. Woodrow, my question would be, so we got the email from Victoria. So do we wanna, in the presentation that you're gonna be giving on the 27th, do you wanna address those things, or how do you wanna, there's one way of just stating everything again about the questionnaire. But then there's hey, how do we wanna address the items that were in the email from Ray? Are we going to, do we ignore that? What's the plan of attack?
well, go ahead, Twyla.
So we have one more meeting right
Yes.
before then. I think it would be nice to talk with, if Ray was able to attend our next meeting, to better understand some of these, and I don't know what the rest of everybody feels like, but it's hard with different tones and, I'd rather just hear and be able to kind of have some discussion around those topics.
That sounds really cool.
And then maybe
I'm
as a
gonna
new
check.
chair, you can have a conversation with Ray.
Right. So I will contact him and see if I will meet with him, of course, but I will see if he's available. You guys said it was August 27th was our next meeting, which I don't know.
August 1st?
August 1st.
August 1st, okay. So I'll see if he can meet with us on our August 1st date and help us to understand what he's had to say there about, in his letter to us. Okay, go ahead, Sherry.
I would just like to say that if for some reason he is unable to meet with us because he has prior vacation plans or something like that, I would still like to proceed forward with bringing this before council. So even if it has to be bringing up those items that we're unsure about and where they go from there, I would still like to go forward with it, not keep going. Because again, we started this in February after a long time of talking about getting something going and then working, and then it being kind of keeps on slipping back. So anyway, that's what I'd like to see happen.
Mary, I second her idea.
I think that I should be able to talk to him if he can't come to the meeting. I should be able to explain a little bit what I've learned from meeting with him about this. So hopefully I can address it, and we can have a more definite, all of us collectively agree on our most definite next steps. Go ahead, Cheryl.
I'm curious, is this something that we could do on the first Friday? Having a booth downtown and doing that for, I mean, I know that we want it to be quick, but I'm wondering if we could do schedule the next couple months and rotating on some of us going down there and seeing if we can get people to do this survey.
I think it's a good idea to a certain extent, but a lot of people from out of
Yeah.
come to
Yeah.
First,
come to different, you know.
Sherry.
And I agree.
So I'm kind of like, well, how many residents would actually, we could definitely some, I'm sure, but I don't know. It's just good idea. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying.
Do we think more residents go to like the movies in the park? Because I saw a bunch of those posters up
Oh,
too.
that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, this is Robbie. Molly King said that they're adding another one on because the
Yeah.
past 3 were so busy, and that we're doing an additional one at the end of July. When have they already started?
There's one that starts the 26th, and I saw 6.
Yeah, so
On the
we're doing
poster.
like 1 or 2 more than we usually do because they're so busy. So if there's any time that we want to engage with the community as a whole, that would probably be it. That you obviously have Wood Village and Fairview, but I did think that she said that they're actually doing the movie nights. The 2 extra ones are happening past the Wood Village and Fairview season, so if we wanted to like hit just Troutdale residents to the best of our ability, we'd wanna do it on the ones where Wood Village and Fairview also have their movie nights.
Oh, good idea, yeah.
Sherry.
Lovely idea. Another area to get, I'm not sure that, we won't have this before council for
That's the
anybody
problem.
to go forward, you know, before that, so I believe all of that will be done. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, the 3 dates that I see that are coming up is July 26th, August 16th, and August 23rd.
Yeah, so those ending August ones were
So I need to see if we can't move up the city council meeting.
They won't.
There's no more.
I don't think, I
Hiatus.
They're on
don't think you
hiatus.
can.
So how do we, wow, that's kind of frustrating, I don't know.
Yeah.
Could you ask Ray maybe? If
I
we could do
certainly
them-
will, it just kills that, we don't have meetings very often, we can't get these things done. I don't know, I don't know if it's even a possibility. I don't even know if it's a possibility, I'm just throwing this out, I don't even know if I'm available. If we could get any chance, no, we can't get in with city council, I just don't know. That's because I guess it does us no good, I was thinking, could I see if there's a room and we could have an additional meeting to just discuss this, to get something off the ground, but the problem is it's not us being prepared for city council unless we could move up the city council meeting, in which case then we might need to meet before then, but, okay, I have no ideas, you guys, what we're gonna do. It just might be we're trying to make community engagement happen after the Labor Day, you know, the possibility. That's what I think might be the efforts is pushing after that, unfortunately, because we have all these summer things, but Robbie.
This is Robbie. When are the police and fire contracts going to be? Like, what's our deadline here?
I believe that it's something about next year, and ideally, we were supposed to have this done sooner, but it just kept getting delayed.
August
so.
2025, is that right?
Something, I
You know?
can't remember, we're
What's that?
still meeting.
Contract expiration is August
I
2025?
think it's fiscal year, so it would be July 2025.
July.
So in between for Q3 and Q4 this year, we've got Christmas tree lighting, the rest of the first Fridays, the movie nights. I don't know what kind of fall events that they're planning, but those would be our opportunities past the city council.
Yep.
So the Christmas tree lighting was my first go-to. After that,
They do have the trick or treating downtown. Oh, that's a good.
yeah, I was trying to think if we do anything for Halloween, but I don't think we have, like, Fairview, we have the, fall thing, the fall festival. But Troutdale is programming similar to that, September at least, or October,
They have something, I'm not sure.
can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Sherry?
I love it. I just know that some of the things that we're talking about bring in a lot of residents from elsewhere. And in all of the time, I have never been to the Christmas tree lighting. I have never, I mean, there's limited things that I've actually come down for, because we talked before, there's such a challenge with parking. So are we getting our residents that we are, we want to make sure we're engaging with all of them. So if we can reach out. And I would say, related to the survey, it would be nice if we got buy-in from all of the committees on stuff, because I think all of the committees would like to have feedback in some ways in different areas, whatever it might be, like, because we're here to represent the people. And so if we can get them involved in giving their input, and which would they believe is a safe way. I might be cynical, but I think the chief said last time too, he's not willing to give out too much information in a survey. So some of the things we had there, he thought were, met the criteria of finding out information without, getting to in somebody's business or something. So anyway, I really wish that we could pursue it in a way that we can get residents where they could see something without, and feeling safe about it without having to go out. Because honestly, if Troutdale specifically engaged me with something, I would likely fill out their survey. When Multnomah County did, I filled out their survey. If it comes from some other thing, I'm like, I don't know who they're selling. I put my email on very few things, and you know how many junk things I get? So anyway.
If I could, I think you really need to clarify what the points in that were made were, like, what do they mean by having a professional? Because I think it seems very reasonable for any organization to ask for professionals to look over something that was gonna go out to a large group of people to make sure that the questions are written in a way that represent the values of that organization. So it doesn't seem odd to me that a city would say, we'd like to have some professionals look over the questions to make sure that they're equitable and that they fit the values of the city, since we're putting our name on this and putting it out there. So, that's much different than what I've kind of heard being described as some other company going out and doing this survey. So I think that probably it would be important for you guys to get clarity on exactly what was meant by that. Do they just need professionals to review the questions and make sure that they fit what the city would like to put their name on? Or are they talking about having somebody who completely does the entire survey? But I think it's hard for you guys to number one, make any decisions, nor make a case to the council on without having the clarifying information on what was meant by each of those points that Victoria made.
I guess it's really important to have that meeting with Ray, and if possible, that he come. Mary?
Should we three meet and maybe just get things, a little subgroup? I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking you and Shelley
I'm fine with it.
to get things,
I'm totally,
or wait till after next meeting maybe, if we see Ray.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like
Wait.
I need to gather some more information
Okay.
from Ray, because all we got was the letter that was, or the summary, whatever, that came from Victoria. And so I feel like we need to probably have a
Sure.
conversation better with him to understand it. And then, I think she was indicating that's why we didn't meet this last time, to come up with a strategy. before this meeting is because we didn't want to be deliberating or, you know, a strategy versus coming up with a survey. I guess that's crossing the line. I'm not really good on that, what we can and cannot do yet. I'm gonna get more versed in it, but, so we'll just, to avoid anything, we'll just wait till probably the next meeting, I think. Does that sound reasonable? Yes. Because we want to discuss it when we have all of us, I guess, the strategy or what we're going to do. But I think the takeaway I get here is I need to meet with Ray, go over what was covered, and if all possible, have him come to the meeting. And so we may have some suggested points that you brought up. So. Okay, does anybody else have anything else in chambers? Okay. Alrighty. I guess we'll call that good for that discussion item. So moving on to the next discussion item, our agenda item number 9, discussion and recommendations regarding fire fees. And I think that's the last page in your package.
So, question, just to clarify, so did Victoria say that the city pays all the fees? I'm just a little confused.
That's what she said.
Is that what she was saying? So that if we didn't want a fee, we just mark it? I mean, I wasn't
I
clear.
have to admit, I was not completely clear on that, so, Woodruff.
Hi, from what I understand, from what I remember, because this was brought up at a council meeting, right?
This was actually brought up here, it was discussed at length here. And so, yes, the city pays all the fees currently for people to have these inspections. I think what was asked was, do you, as a committee, want to make a recommendation that the city no longer eat those fees and defer those fees to the person applying for the inspection, or asking for the inspection? And then as you look over these fees, I think the point that was being made was that you could say, well, we want fees to be charged to people asking for these inspections. We don't want the city to any longer pay for these inspections for anybody who just says, I want an inspection. But you can then go through here and go, okay, I think that a healthcare facility shouldn't have to pay the fee, for example, or a children's residential, or, you know, whatever you wanted. So you could go through and go, well, I don't think that a nonprofit should have to pay the fee. So I think what was being said was that you guys could evaluate this and say, number one, do we want to make a recommendation that those fees be deferred to the person asking for the inspection? And here's the people that we think should be waived from having to pay that fee. And this is basically a list of how Gresham, Fairview, and Wood Village, what they're charging for fees and who they're charging it to.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mary?
Does anybody else, I thought that there was 2 pages in the initial fee schedule that we got. And I don't have that on me, I thought I might, but I didn't know if anybody else maybe did. Still wondering if this is kind of different. And I guess at this point it doesn't matter. Sorry.
This is Robbie. Captain, for clarification, and I don't expect you to know this, so no worries, but do you know any background information on why the city was covering these fees?
I don't know that.
Yeah,
No.
that's confusing to me. I don't know.
And Robbie, this is Woodrow. Again, I think this was brought up in a city council meeting in addition to this committee. But the way the contract was written with Gresham Fire, the city of Troutdale was listed as the responsible party for all the fees. Very weird, but it's been going on for years, and so was it Chief Scott, is that the fire department?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came and presented to council and some of his battalion chiefs, I guess, and said, this is something we want to get in alignment with because the contracts they have with Fairview and Wood Village it's the parties that have to pay the fees.
Right.
And so they wanted us to get in alignment with them, and then it got kicked to us.
And to also to clarify, it's not uncommon for a city to pay the fees and then charge the fee back and get reimbursed by the fee.
Yeah.
I think where Troutdale just wasn't charging back the fee, they were just paying the fee. So the city of Gresham Fire would say, we did, 27 fire inspections, here's the bill.
Yeah.
The city paid the bill and wasn't charging the fee back. So I think as I recall, what the city was asking was, do you want to make a recommendation that those fees now be passed on to the individual that's getting the inspection done?
Thank you so much for that context. I find it quite comical, the idea that somebody would collect late fees on failure to inspect. Late fee, if not paid within 30 days of notice, $44, and the city of Troutdale is paying their late fees. I find the idea of that quite comical. So as I look over it, the only ones that I'm seeing that are standing out to me that we would want to exclude would be like basically the stuff under the state licensed facilities inspections. Everything else, I would say it should absolutely be passed on to the applicant to pay those fees. There's no reason why the city of Troutdale should be paying for any of that.
This is Twyla, and I would even, working in that realm, know that a lot of these places are for profit. And so I would advocate that, even the not-for-profit world, a lot of those places are huge organizations. So I don't know that there's a way that we could justly go through this, and for me at least, to piece and say, it's kind of an all or not for me, and I feel that it's fair if you're gonna start a business or do one of these things that this is how we ensure it's safe and that you're not gonna harm the community, and this is the price for that.
Sure.
I sat at a council meeting and there were some individuals in the community that came and felt that they are already doing many things and this is an additional thing that is an additional cost. And as a small business, when you keep getting hit with extra things, at some point it puts you out of business because there's so many of them. I might be misunderstanding. I understood that as a Troutdale, we contract for a certain amount of money to the fire department. And the stuff that happens isn't additional above and beyond, but I might not be understanding that correctly. So that's part of, I think, the concern. I'm concerned about the one that says open burning residential only and what it is. I don't like how it's, not, things like that I just don't like. I'm not for like regulations like crazy, but I might be one of those people that would have rebelled back in 1776. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a bit concerning to me, and when I see all these fees for myself, I say, whoa, it's not like I want a business to get away with something if there, is a legit reason for them to pay. But I also wonder if this is going above and beyond. Like doing just too much. And I know it might be what's said right now is how it's being charged or, whatever the city's giving it. I just don't know that I feel comfortable saying that. I like putting my stamp on it.
Can I just clarify one thing that I thought I heard? I want to make sure I'm understanding. Was the thought that our current contract, all this is just kind of rolled into it, so we're not actually paying Troutdale isn't paying that because it's just part of that contract language? That might be, I'm curious to learn more about that.
That is, just knowing that we contract for a certain amount, then just, as businesses come in or go or whatever, I didn't understand that our budget allowed for just, everybody that's coming in or doing whatever, that we would be paying for that right now. It's just, and I might be wrong, so it might be something that we need more clarification on. I don't know, it might be me wrong.
This is Robbie. Personally, I'm under the impression that the cost of doing business is the cost of doing business. If you're gonna file for an LLC in the state of Oregon, you have to file a $100 fee and then reapply that fee every single year. I don't think that these are prohibited fees in any way, shape, or form. If we look at the most expensive fee on this entire list, it's gonna be the high hazard and then the life safety inspections. And that's not gonna be required in realistically any situation. Most of these are gonna be $126. If $126 is enough to stop you from opening a business, then I think you have bigger things to worry about. I don't think that that's the city of Troutdale's problem. So if I was looking at this, I think that the idea that our city is dedicating any form of their budget, knowing how much we had to cut from certain parks initiatives and other things, I don't think that this, in my head, is any sort of question as to why it's confusing as to why this is set up in the first place, and I think that it's our responsibility, given the option to roll that back. I don't think that this is regulation in any way, shape, or form. This is just it has to do business.
And I would like to.
Excuse me just one second. Paul, could you mute, please? I don't know how to mute you, but could you mute? Thank you. Go ahead, sorry.
If I could just add though that what you're hearing and what you know isn't what I got from that city council meeting. The owner of Restaurante di Pompeo testified at one of them and talked about multiple other inspections he has, different things that go on that he pays for. And then this is yet one more thing.
Sure.
So this one more thing, it's a redundancy in the sense that he's already doing all of these additional things that he's been having to do. Again, I might not completely be right, but he was one example of when I sat there, that gave me some concern, so.
Mary.
And I just would like a little clarification, maybe on the special events, like farmers markets, trade shows, okay, I understand, but, you know, I'm not against a fee. However, I guess I'm questioning, is that per person that has a tent set up? And then if you look down, it says tents and membrane structures, tents that are greater 200 feet, so on and so forth, you're gonna have to pay another. I mean, so what does this mean, like specifically? There's that, and then seasonal sales, Christmas trees, what about the Boy Scouts? Like, I think that needs to be addressed, like, I don't think they should have to pay, but, and then, yeah, you know, I'm looking at the adult foster homes and the residential homes, assisted living. I'm kind of apt to feel maybe those shouldn't have to.
I would say that I wish wish we had all that at our fingertips to answer those
Right.
questions, because I think those things got asked by Chief Lewis, and I don't when the meeting, that when he came here, and do any of you guys recollect? Seems like we asked him some of those things, but I
I
personally
think
don't
we were
recollect.
focused on the
Do you
burn bans,
remember
we
what he
didn't
said?
like go into this thing.
He made a comment, cause I grabbed him outside about setting up the scout, program with Gresham. And he mentioned that they don't, for the nonprofits, for the most part, they don't. They'll go out there and do all the paperwork and then say, oh, you're a nonprofit, then we'll waive the fee. But it's not written in stone, right? And he's also, he threw out an example about how somebody came in from somewhere else and says, oh yeah, we're part of, you know, some other, you know, made up charity. And it was like, yeah, no, you're not, you know, sorry, it's not the list. And, you know, again, it was something like, you know, fireworks or something. It's not a really good charity to have something like that. So he did make them, you know, pay the fee. But there wasn't a hard and fast. It was more like somebody was making that judgment call
Yeah.
in the field.
And I think that's, when you look like at the concepts of justice and fairness, that's where perhaps some clarity around what that is, because that doesn't feel okay either, because then maybe they are totally legit and just nobody's heard of them yet, and they are in more need because they don't have the resources, so.
And I think if I'm right, Lewis is the training battalion, assistant chief, so he's not the end all say all, right? He's the guy that helps build the training, you know, the recruits coming through in the process, but we can definitely ask him, let's invite him to come out and talk to us again.
I don't know how fast we are supposed to do this for council, but I certainly, we have more questions, it seems like we don't really.
Next council meeting's in 2 months.
Yeah,
And another thing, is this like a once a year fee, or, I mean, some of these obviously would be once an event fee, but.
This is Robbie. Can I just take a quick straw poll on people's thoughts and feelings towards a blanket approach or thoughts and feelings towards a pick individual things out there? I'm personally leaning towards the blanket approach and just passing all of these on to the business.
I would say blanket also.
I'm kind of tossed up. I would say maybe pick, because I'm not sure about some of the.
I just can't say yes to any of it. Okay, Woodrow?
And where I'm stuck is along with her, but if there's a business that's choosing whether to come to Troutdale or go to Wood Village or Gresham, you know, is this going to stop them? If they have to pay $126 to have a fire alarm inspection, is this going to stop them from coming to Troutdale? I'm leaning towards it shouldn't, right? They should not say whether they want to put their popcorn store in downtown Troutdale versus Wood Village. It shouldn't. And I think to make that case, it should be the same. We should have the exact same fee schedule as all the areas around us. And that way we take that element of surprise out of the decision-making process of a business to come to Troutdale. So, and it should be the same. So I'm for blanket. I just talked myself into it, sorry.
I'm all either yay or nay. As I have worked before in assisted living, their profit. I'm sorry, the person that they're gonna mess over the most is the employees that are working their tails off. I mean, the people that are up above, they're not gonna care, they're gonna pay the fee. And, you know, those that are running state foster homes, they're getting money from the state. So, I mean, you know, so they're here for profit. And I think paying $100 or $300 for their licensures or for their inspection is just part of the territory. But I, for one or the other, I don't want to pick and choose, because then I'm afraid if we pick and choose, it's going to come back. And I just don't feel comfortable doing that.
Okay. I will say, I think they wanted us, for convenience, Gresham was wanting us to do all or nothing. But obviously Victoria learned from Ray, we could pick and choose. But again, what do you guys want to do? Do you guys want to make a recommendation tonight, or we want to get some more information? What does the committee want to do? Sherry?
I'm gonna hold on that question for a
Okay.
second. I'd just like to say, the hardest thing about this is, does any of us own a business here?
No, this is Robbie. No, but I work as a server in a restaurant just like Pompello's, and a server would take in $126 in tips each night. A restaurant like that, they're bringing in anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 in sales a night on any given weeknight, probably $10,000 to $15,000 on any given weekend. And I know that because I worked at Olive Garden right up the road, an Italian comparable restaurant with the same amount of kind of business in and out the doors. So I know what that is, and I know that $126 or $350 is just gonna be another thing on the balance sheet for that business owner. And I get it, I know that he's gonna come and say he's already got a ton of fees, but if he's already got a ton of fees, it's just gonna be another fee that he's going to account for in next year's budget. And I would just like to pose that we sat in Parks and talked about all this stuff that we were cutting, and all these sacrifices that were needing to be made in the budget, and every time that this fee is getting paid for the city of Troutdale, it's just one thing less that we're able to do. Think about how much stuff we could do with $126 on parks. We could set up those suggestion boxes that we were talking about, $226 fees, that's enough to set up some more community gardens. Like, this is what I'm thinking in my head is the holistic picture of the city. We're so small, we're just that square footage, we don't have much opportunity to bring in revenue. In terms of a tax basis, we have our residents and our businesses, and if we're gonna take revenue out of our balance sheet, it needs to be worthwhile, and we're all sitting here and none of us can say why Troutdale's doing this in the first place. Even if we don't understand it, even if we're paying application per application or on a whole fund basis, either way, that's ridiculous to me personally. I don't think the city should be doing that at all. So I empathize with the businesses, but at the end of the day, they're businesses. And if they're not making enough money, then they gotta bring in more customers or figure out how to get more sales. That's on them, not us as a city to.
Which might mean that we need to have more parking, which we don't have, and we'll even have less here in a short time. Again, there might be reasons to pass this on. I just feel like I wanna represent the people well, and I hate to think that it's just mine. We don't have the input of some of these people. It'd be nice if we got what, some of the businesses had to say about how this would impact them. And I know some people, of course, don't wanna pay another dime on something, but some people could be impacted in such a way that we aren't considering what it is because maybe of our affluency, our whiteness, or whatever we wanna say, it just very well might be that some people, the impact would be too great. And again, I don't know, but I just know that it's easy to grab into somebody else's pocket, but if you just want to keep throwing out of your own, I know that, it puts me in that position I'm not sure I feel comfortable with, so.
But I think the root, if we look at where all this funding is coming from, anyway, it's from us.
Our pockets.
It's coming out of our
You're
pockets as
paying
a
for it.
community. And then do I want my tax dollars to go to a few businesses
Yeah.
or back to the community where we can use it for parks or our other projects and things like that? Because one of the things I do love about Troutdale is we support our businesses so well, and I think we do a good job, and our council really puts that as the forefront. And in some ways, I think we have lost some of the community things that we've done in the past, like our parades and things like that. And so I think there's a balance, and if that balance to me is like, we all pay our fair share, I pay my taxes, you pay these pieces, and the leftover goes back to the community.
This is Robbie. I would make a motion to recommend to the city council that we pass these fees on to the businesses.
This is Carol, I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, I guess we'll take a vote. Okay, I'm just going around the table because I don't know if I'm order. Woodrow.
Yes, I vote. What am I voting for?
Oh, I guess I should restate the motion. Sorry, I'm not very good at this yet, I'm learning. Okay, so Robbie motioned
I
and
move to
moved.
Approve in total?
Approve the
approve
fees.
it in total, present it to the city council, and make the recommendation to pass these on to the businesses.
Yes.
And
Carol seconded it,
Carol seconded.
and you don't have to necessarily do a roll call vote.
Oh, okay,
We can say after.
okay.
So Paul has his hand raised, so I don't know if he has a question or if we should hear him before we vote. It
Yes,
doesn't
well,
matter.
let's hear Paul before we vote. Sorry if I missed you. So go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, Shelley. This fee schedule, Gresham Fire has brought this fee schedule before the city council at least twice that I know of. And they made it pretty clear that their choice was to have the city continue absorbing the cost, not passing it on. I'm agreeing with some of the members there, Twyla and Robbie, that the businesses should be paying their way. But as I say, and I don't know if Councilor Lance wants to chip in or not, or weigh in or not, but it was pretty clear to me that the city council does not want to pass the fees through. They want to continue the city absorbing the fees. So I just wanted to make that point from having been at council meetings.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Okay, so we got the motion second, and I was just starting to take your vote. So this is,
I gave you my vote.
you said yes.
Yes.
And Carol said yes.
Yes.
And Robbie said,
Yes.
and Twyla said,
Yes.
and Mary said,
I'm going to change to yes after.
okay, and Sherry?
No,
And me, I am a no too. Okay, so that, 1, 2, 3, 4, that passes, so we will send that on to council.
So is that something that you're gonna present as well?
Or is that like an email?
Or is that just an email?
I don't know, I'll have to ask, I think I'll just tell them that we approved it. Okay, so that's done. Moving on to agenda item 10. Oh, that's update on next month's agenda. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is again we'll approve meeting, we'll have meeting minutes first, I guess, and we will also have the survey. Talk about it, follow up with my comments, things, and we'll hopefully have, hopefully Ray will be here, but if he's not, we'll be talking about that at least.
Yeah, so we might need to put that in an order of whatever his needs are. If he has to come
Yes.
early and leave or late, we can just work that.
Yeah, we'll work that out. Okay, and I don't know anything else that she was working on. Did she say something I'm forgetting? Oh, the night out stuff. Do you guys want to talk about that next month or not, or that's, I know we have to plan if we're gonna be doing that stuff,
So is the strategy gonna be divide and conquer, where we go out to different communities and observe what they're doing for the night out so that we can plan for next year? That's, and, you know, figure out of us who goes where.
Can I ask a question? First off, does everybody even know what the whole idea of National Night Out is? Or are we just picking on something and we're not even sure? Because I heard a mention that, well, if the sheriff's office or law enforcement can't be there, then we can, you know, they just can't be there.
That was,
So-
yeah, and I didn't buy that, but.
And so, I mean, the whole idea of it is to better connect law enforcement with the community. So, you know, in making the point that, well, if law, you know, we can still have it August 6th, even if law enforcement can't be there, then that kind of defeats the purpose. It's not really National Night Out. So if, you know, if you want to have a true National Night Out, then I think it would be important for somebody to look over the requirements of what it takes to be a National Night Out, because National Night Out is very specific and has some very specific obligations and requirements that you have to meet, and be able to present those, because, you know, if you want to do a true National Night Out, you want to meet those obligations, particularly if you're going to do it on the night of, otherwise it's not really a National Night Out and it's not recognized by the organization. So I think it's best before really anybody makes a decision that somebody makes sure that you guys are prepared to meet those requirements and obligations. And I'll be honest with you, there is quite a few, and that's why many cities have gone away from doing a National Night Out on the date of it and have gone to doing something else that works better for them, because then they don't have to abide by any specific regulations to meet that, and they can tailor it to fit their community better.
Can I ask you, could you give us an example of something that's hard to meet or like something that makes it difficult?
Well, for example, you know, if you talk about National Night Out and the, you know, law enforcement not being there, you've kind of eliminated So that, that could potentially be a challenge. So that would be the number one thing I look at, but there's certain advertising obligations and requirements for signage, and there's numerous things, so, and I'm not an expert on National Night Out, I just know, we did that for numerous years in Fairview, and there was a lot that went into the planning. It was about a 6 to 8 month planning period for putting that together. So I just think that, if you talk about National Night Out as the formal event, that you should definitely know what you're signing on to. Outside of that, you look at like Wood Village, who has what they call Wood Village Night Out. So they're not owning the National Night Out name or taking the National Night Out name, they're using their own, but they've built that to meet what their community wants. So, what National Night Out has may not fit what you all believe is the Troutdale community wants. So you might want to build something else that if you're just looking to build some kind of community event like that, that fits what you think the needs and expectations of the community are.
If we were to have some type of Troutdale night out, could it include the police?
I would hope that it would.
Okay, I didn't know if that was a exclusionary.
So the challenge is that, so fortunately, most of our cities have, most of our contract cities have now gone away from the formal National Night Out Day. So we're kind of spread out. Historically, back when everybody did National Night Out, it was challenging staffing-wise for us to be in 4 different cities at the exact same time on the exact same night. So we were always there, it just limited what we could do. Because realistically, the idea of National Night Out is that it gives the community an opportunity to connect with us as law enforcement. And that's difficult to do when we're in 4 cities, and so I can only have 2 deputies at the National Night Out. That's not a really good representation and a good way to connect with our community. So I think that in part is also why a lot of our contract cities have opted to go to their own night out, because then they get the entirety of what resources we can offer for their community for that day and time.
Hey Chief, I'm at the National Night Out website, and it says Troutdale is a participant in the 2024 National Night Out.
Does it really? Are you joshing?
Yeah, it doesn't say what village is, and it doesn't say
What site
Fairview.
is that?
Yeah.
Now you know.
And Gresham is participating in National Night Out.
You're doing one this year, congratulations.
Don't know when.
No, you guys are doing it. Congratulations.
So you said 4 weeks is enough time.
Yeah.
Cha-ching.
So 8 months, 4 weeks, yeah.
Either or.
Oh, good, yeah. Well, let's just take the win.
It might be interesting for us to do a little more dive into what it means, and maybe I don't know if somebody wants to volunteer to look at National Night Out, and maybe somebody else could look at some of the other ones, and we could have a discussion in a further future meeting where we have more time to delve into those. Yeah.
This is Robin. Captain, do you have to have any contacts or associates with the organization?
No, I would just go right to their website. They
There's
do a pretty good job.
registration, so I imagine somebody has registered from Troutdale, which is,
Probably at some point.
yeah, and triggered it, so.
The other thing is, as Victoria mentioned before she left, there are some dates for some of the other events, that's probably a good opportunity to see what some of, number one, most of those events are pretty cool, and so the other thing is it gives you an opportunity to see what some other cities are doing and to see what may fit for the city of Troutdale. And, somebody else has already done the legwork on those events.
Right.
So see what fits for you guys and maybe add what, you take away what you need to take away, add what you need to add, and that may be a way better event. And there's nothing that says that there can't be, and I think Wood Village is an excellent, and Maywood Park is an excellent example of this, that there's nothing that says that you can't have an event that better connects the community with law enforcement without connecting it to the official National Night Out. Especially when, as mentioned, there's other cities that do national nights out, so now it becomes competitive, right? You're competing against, people are like, well, they give free hot dogs in Portland, and I go to their national night out, or whatever the case may be. So, if you really want an event that's impactful to your city, I look at doing an event when you are the one who's doing the event. And that, to me, seems like you're giving your community members a reason to be at your event.
Like a different month even.
So, do we need to make a motion to go to Ray or the council and say, we want to do National Night Out 2025, and we want to start planning today? And get their buy-in and approval and da-da-da-da-da.
Okay. Sure. I'm gonna say, I don't want a motion on National Night Out because that has to be on the night of.
Actually, when you register, you pick which night you want to do it on. I just went out there and looked, so it's like, oh, come on. So
it could be a different month or something.
I don't know about that, but I mean, there is a huge benefit to doing the second Tuesday in August because of all the collateral, all the materials that they provide to us will have that date on it.
But did you not listen? They have to divvy out, so they might not, that's what the chief just indicated, the resources might be separate.
Well, then we pull in all the leverage we have and say, hey, chief, you love us the most. We have better hot dogs than Wood Village.
Might be the person in the go-kart showing up, though.
He wouldn't do that to us.
Oh,
So
my goodness.
I don't know if I'm gonna be here on the 19th, but could we put it on the agenda and then see if we can,
On the 19th.
the 19th, it's July 19th, is Wood Village.
Oh.
Is the Wood Village at the Baptist Church.
Oh,
That's their night out. I can't attend, I think I'm out of town
What day of the week
that
is it?
Friday, it's Friday, next Friday.
I just had a wild idea, is if we got that list from Victoria again, and we just send an email, so we all try to go to as any and all that you can.
Yeah.
Can I just ask all of you to try to go to at least one of them?
Can
And
somebody
maybe if you wanna
text me
get,
the dates and again, I don't know what those are.
I don't know, that's why I didn't write them all down, but I'll get the list from Victoria.
I
Okay,
have,
She just walked back
she
in.
walked back in.
oh, did she?
just now?
Yeah.
She came in the building, I don't know what happened.
I have Oregon City at the end of Oregon Trail, August 6th. I can attend that one. But
Okay.
it might be nice if, a few of us
I can do a Tuesday, it's a Tuesday, right? 8/6 is a Tuesday. Why do I know that?
Yes,
Why the
it's a
hell do I
Tuesday.
know
I need to
which
know
day?
Yeah, I could do that Tuesday. I just can't do July 19th, but it'd be nice if somebody could go to that. And then the Fairview block parties, is that something that's listed or,
I think they do those on August 6th.
oh, okay.
They're one of the communities that still uses the actual date. But I can double check that with the chief and let the chief of
And-
Fairview and let the chair know.
Can we crash their block parties, or is it?
I mean, I don't know. And then you said is it
Maywood Park,
Maywood Park?
I'm looking up theirs right now, I think theirs is also on the 6th.
So maybe divide and conquer.
Yeah, I think once we get the total list.
That's what I'm gonna try to get from Victoria, because I
pick
didn't write
one,
those all
yeah.
down, or I'll somehow find a list of the things. I'm sure she can give that to me,
And
and then
then,
I'll send it in an email to everybody.
I mean, we could put it on as a agenda item for August 1st, but I'm not sure that's gonna
That's
get
not
us a lot
happening.
of information, so maybe for the September meeting,
Yeah.
have that in the September agenda,
Yeah,
Yeah,
is to talk about the night out.
And just so when we visit a night out, we wanna, observe, but we also wanna ask questions. Who's the organizing person? How much time did you spend on it? Was there any costs that incurred that were reimbursed, not reimbursed? We should have an idea of what questions to ask when we go out and
We're not just going for
sample
the
hot
hot
dogs.
I make a motion that Woodrow put together the questions that,
I'm gonna make a survey. I'm gonna create a survey team.
And So Maywood Park National Night Out is August 6th at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
6 to 8.
on Maywood Place. I think you already had July 19th is
Wood
Wood
Village,
Village.
And
Tried to
what's
go
the
to that
time on
one.
July 19th?
I think
5
it's
to 8, I think.
5 to 8, yeah, I can't remember if it's 5 or 6, I can't
Is that
remember.
in their park?
It's at Wood Village Baptist Church,
Oh,
right
I've
off
been-
Parada.
oh, I know where that is, yes.
I've been to it many times.
I might be.
I've been to it many times.
And I would say that for, at least for our contract cities, those are probably good examples because they are very, although one's on National Night Out and one is not, they are very kind of traditional, what National Night Out looks like historically. So they're kind of good examples of what National Night Outs tend to look like. The block parties that Fairview does is not it's a version of National Night Out, but it's not kind of the traditional, what I think you all probably are kind of thinking of. It's more self-run and run by communities versus, the entire community getting together at one centralized location.
So they have several little ones then, or?
Yeah, they have,
That's cool.
so basically a neighborhood registers to have essentially like a block party.
And how do you introduce law enforcement and all
It's
those
very
neighborhoods?
difficult because the
Yeah.
chief of
I mean,
that
I
city
think
has to
it's
go to
kinda-
every single one of those
Yeah,
at
I
some
think
point
that's
during the
kinda
night.
hard.
So
Yeah.
again, that's why I think like if you're using the ideology of what National Night is and the connecting community with law enforcement, I think it's really important that law enforcement be a large part of that event. And if that's what you wanna do, I mean, if you just wanna have a get-together, you can name it anything you want, and have any game you want.
We don't have to have hot dogs at all.
But if you want to keep the idea of connecting law enforcement with community, like, I think it's important that we try to be there in force and do a lot of those things that we do, have the dog there and all those things, and have our booth there and all our information and things like that, so.
Okay,
Alright.
so I'll just plan to send, I mean, I know that we have the ones that he said get the flavor, but I'll go ahead and follow up with Victoria and send the dates.
Okay.
But it sounds like the ones to concentrate on are on Wood Village and Maywood Park.
And
So-
then, just, could you clarify with, Victoria, is there anything else that we've got in the works that we don't have written down? Because I kind of feel like there is, and I'm not sure what it is that I'm not remembering.
Okay, so our next, we just have two things on for the next meeting. Well, and I'm rounding Ray in with the survey. And then we'll save the night out follow-up stuff for the September. Okay. Anything else there before we go on? Okay. We're confirming our next meeting night, oh, it's right on there, August 1st at 6:30, is that good, everybody? Okay. All right, committee member comments, Woodrow.
Thanks for inviting me to the meeting. I'm glad I made this one. I don't have anything planned for night shift again for a few more holidays anyway, so they'll probably yank me from the first week of September again, do night shift for that. But we'll work something out. I'll show up highly caffeinated and see how chatty I am then.
I thought it was a good discussion. Robbie, welcome to the committee, and I know you've got some really good input, so it'd be good to hear. And then, I was sitting here thinking, do we need to come up with goals? I know we talked about goals, but I can't remember if it was this committee or the other committees that I'm on.
Yes. Oh my gosh, 2 people ago, we came up with those. Remember?
2 chairmen ago?
It's been so long.
Yes, with Chloe, we met and
Oh, that's right.
and
you
we
did.
had beer and we created the
That's
mission
right.
statement and the goals for this group. So we need to figure out where those are.
Where are they?
Notice how you.
I have no idea. I kind of remember
I
this,
wonder if,
and the
Victoria doesn't-
dashboard and all that,
Yep.
and I
And
have
then it
no
went
idea.
from Chloe to Victoria, so hopefully
Okay,
that's
check
something
with
we should
Victoria.
figure out. If not, so I see Chloe from
So
time
we
to
have
time.
a, and then does Chloe have that email? Because didn't she send an email?
And I might even have it saved, so I'll check
Then
back
I'll look
before our
too.
next meeting and look through my stuff.
So do you guys
Everything
want to
died.
back up and add that to the agenda to talk about for next month?
Let's keep it on there, yeah.
Okay, so let's put it on there.
Nothing, good job.
Because 2 items on an agenda kind of concerns me.
Well, then we still have the.
Well, we
police,
have the
right?
other
Yeah.
stuff, it's not like, okay, and we have a history of talking
Yeah.
about it.
Goals and ideas.
Okay, Sherry.
Okay, this is gonna probably sound a little bit silly, thank you, good meeting, and, because of my background and what I do, focusing on the compliance end as opposed to the penalty end, I was thinking about what Robbie had brought up about what's going on, and as we have a comfort dog now, maybe something with the image of the comfort dog could be used for reminders of, you shouldn't
Would
be
the
in
comfort
here
dog
right
be
now.
welcome in the park, or would they not be able to come in the park?
Well, just a little bit, I think about, I just saw something on the news where there's a fireman that holds up a sign that says, don't go hiking in the heat, or drink water, or be careful not to start brush fires, or like whatever they're doing, something down in Arizona. I was just thinking, Smokey the Bear said about, not starting wildfires and things like that. So I just was thinking, oh, maybe the comfort dog can slyly tell owners not to bring their dogs down on this beach, you're welcome elsewhere, but not here, or whatever. Anyway, just sort of my brain was going somewhere with it. Maybe Woodrow's a bad influence on me.
I'm the farthest person from
Anyway, okay, that's all, thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Good meeting and nice meeting you, Robbie, and welcome. And, yeah, have a good month, everybody.
Hyla.
Yes, welcome, and congratulations on your new position, and looking forward to our discussion. I think we did some great work. We have a lot of really good things started, and to circle back and kind of ground ourselves with that mission statement and our purpose, I think will be important. So I will look for that and see if I can find it.
Excellent, thank you. Robbie.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Thank you very much to the captain. This was all very, very insightful. And I appreciate everybody filling me in on the context along the way as well. As you can see, I picked it up very quickly. So. I appreciate you putting up with me in my loud mouth. I tend to talk a lot, so don't expect that to stop anytime soon. So happy to be here and happy to provide input where needed. So very, very excited. Like you said, lots of good stuff started. So I got my toes wet in parks and now we're diving in. So yeah, very excited for what the future holds.
Excellent. All right, well, welcome. I'm so happy. Thank you guys. I'm really excited to do this, I hope. Now we'll see what my minutes turn out like. I'm not really sure. I haven't really ever been a secretary, so I'm gonna go back and listen to the recording. I'll never do this, so. Sorry, did you want to say something?
No, I was just thinking, if we don't have somebody to help facilitate with minutes in the next meeting, should we volunteer? And maybe we just go around and we all.
So if you're talking about note taking, like,
Uh-huh.
really all you need to keep track of is votes, motions, things like that. Because that has to be a written record as well. So
Okay.
you don't have to take copious notes throughout the entire thing because it is recorded, right? So
Right.
we can listen to it again. But so I will double check with Sarah and see if she's covering to do the minutes. to act the actual minutes that you guys are gonna get at the end.
Oh, I don't have to do them.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure she's covering that for,
Oh, okay.
for Teresa while Teresa's gone, so, please don't go home and spend the next 6 hours listening.
This is Carol, is there any way to get the notes a couple days before? Because I still didn't get it in the
Which
mail.
notes are you talking
I mean,
about? The minutes or the packets?
Because so what happens is I get here, because I haven't gotten mine yet, and I have this packet, because I take it off the table, and then when I get home, tomorrow it'll probably be there or Saturday, and then I've already had 2 duplicates, so I just feel like I'm burning
So I'll try to
trees.
do a better job of getting Sarah the police stuff more quickly. The problem is when we have meetings that are close to the beginning of the month, I can only get them as quick as the first,
Oh,
roughly
yeah,
the
that's
first.
right, yeah, okay,
You know,
yeah.
depending on if the first is on a weekend, then it may be the second or third of the month by the time I actually get it. So within reason, I can try to get those more efficiently to her. It's probably me holding up the process, not Sarah. So, but I'll try to get those to her as close to the first day I have them.
Well, next month is August 1st, so I'm
Yeah.
sure you're not gonna
Yeah.
get it.
No, I mean, it's gonna
Don't get, we are gonna
Save
get
the
them.
postage, just get the
September 1st. Okay.
Hey, if I could just say, if you felt like it, you could read them online.
I did, actually, but the secretarial part of my head wants me to print everything, so and so
Yeah.
I really refrained from printing, looking online, because they don't have 4 duplicates.
Sure, I get it, yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, no, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sandy, for joining, and thank you.